Okay, hey everyone, welcome. And let's get started. Uh, I see most of the people who might already know me, but still, let me introduce myself. I'm Apoorv, and I have close to 10 years of experience. Currently working as a staff front-end engineer at Procore, and yeah, I've been doing these webinars. This is the fifth one, I guess, now. In terms of front end system design individual webinars, this is the fifth one. Otherwise, I've done more than that. So this is mostly going to be discussion, and today we are going to discuss rich text editor, uh, one of the frequently asked questions. Actually, collaborative real-time editor is more frequently asked, but this you need to know in order to solve that. Uh, so yeah, let me share my screen. Just a second. Uh, cool. So yeah, we will be discussing rich text editors, front-end system design, and we are going to follow the radio framework. Um, so for any system design that you do, in order to cover all the different parts of the design, uh, there is a framework which is known as radio. So I'll just write it down over here. RADIO. R is for requirements, then A is for architecture, D is for data model, I is for interface, O is for optimizations, and if there is anything else that you want to cover. So, as usual, we'll begin with the requirements. So, okay, tell me, what do you understand by the term like rich text editor?
Yeah, so apart from plain old input text box, we can format the text uh,
Hmm.
like how we do with HTML. We can make the content bold, and those are some pretty basic requirements where we can make it italic, bold, or different styling we can apply, or formatting, we can say.
Hmm.
Those are some basic requirements of a rich text editor.
Got it. What else? Anything else?
Able to put media content, like we
Mhm.
can insert pictures or any other thing,
Yes.
links, yeah. And maybe having support for multiple fonts or multiple languages maybe can be a thing.
Mhm.
Equations can be added, something like that.
Yes, mathematical equation. What else?
Have also seen different font support as well.
Okay,
Might
basically,
not be
yes,
basic
no
requirement.
fonts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The editor should be highly responsive, like it should not lag once it has a lot of content.
Okay, that we can add in the non-functional requirements. Highly performant. Just a second, I'm very call. Sorry. Sorry about that. Highly performant. Okay, no lag. No lag. Okay. What else? You can add code snippets, right? Formatted code snippets.
We support saving the file in multiple formats.
Support saving, sorry.
Support saving the file in multiple formats.
Okay, so that will be outside the editor's business. So basically, whenever people do rich text, it is mostly to do with the editing part. Okay. Um, and how do you store? We provide external APIs. That rich text editor will provide external APIs, and how they want to store, they can choose accordingly. So yeah, we'll currently focus only on what rich text editor provides. But yeah, good point.
We can have undo and redo functionalities for
Correct.
the editing.
Correct. Undo, redo. Very important. Okay. Anything else?
Markdown kind of a support actually.
Sort of, yeah, markdown support also.
Yeah.
Uh, People know what is markdown? Now you should, because all the AI that understands is like markdown. So basically, if you have ever created a .md file in your GitHub that you create using markdown, like a hash is meaning title, and this is like bulleted, and then if you make double hash, it's like heading one, heading two sort of thing. So like there you can do multiple things over there, but yeah, basically markdown support. Sure. Certain other things I'll add is like tables, diagrams. These are certain advanced functionality it may or may not have. Again, whenever you're listing the requirements, you can list as many as you can, but do make sure you're not wasting more than 2 to 3 minutes or 4 minutes in requirements. Listing down just should be like 1 or 2 minutes. Whatever you can think in within that minutes, it's fine. Don't need to be worrying about more than that. And once you have listed all the requirements, then what you do is then you set the requirements that you're going to focus during the discussion, because you can't focus on everything. So then we can focus on actual requirements. So what we're going to focus on is like formatting and styling, like heading, paragraph, block quote, bold, underline, italics. Like it's very common. Um, and like basically, how are you going to style various elements? Are we going to have like custom styles or browser default? So for now, let's focus on browser default. Like you, if you do bold or italics, it depends on if which browser you're rendering, right?
Cool.
Chrome.
One note also here. Like apart from Word and Alex, we can have different heading sizes or body
Correct,
text.
correct. Yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
So we need to. How do we decide that? Like heading one, like do we keep it as REM here or in pixel size? That should also be like part of requirement or not?
No, that we'll discuss. This is overall requirement. Then how are you going to do it? That we can discuss for going forward. In requirements, it's just overall. Like okay, we'll discuss about heading, paragraph, and all those things.
And how do we are going to add the RTL or the bidirectional support for, because some languages follow RTL and some follows LPR and all.
Good.
So how do we make sure like
Good. Good. That you can add in the non-functional requirements, and at the end also you can discuss that. Uh, right. The internationalization basically. Not this
Also,
RTL. You also have to take care of input method editing. I'll talk about it later. Yeah. Go ahead.
live collaboration, will it be part of requirement or non-functional requirement?
Yeah, good question. So live collaboration can or cannot be part of the requirement. We will take the live collaboration part in next session, because it will require a complete session to explain that. It mostly revolves around conflict resolution, which involves two things: either operational transformation or CRDTs, conflict free something data types. So uh, that part can be a discussion point. Okay, uh, so if that is a question, then you need to focus on those part. But again, we'll take that as part of different session. Currently, I only want to focus on the rich text editor. Anything else? Any other requirements you guys think?
Can we add a version history whenever you make any changes?
Version history. Sure, that also can be a requirement, but basically you will save and then you want to come back to it, or how do you think?
So it's like whenever you are writing something, it always have some history so that you will understand who have made that changes.
Okay, so
Same like
come
same like what we have in Google Doc.
so that will come in terms of collaboration. Here we are talking only about the rich text editor. Right? Only one person is going to add it. Only one user. Currently,
Uh,
here we are focusing on in rich text editor. Just assume we are not even going to connect with the internet. It's just a rich text editor, offline rich text editor. You can consider it. Okay, it's just one person.
uh,
Can we add like last version? Like for example, there are multiple iteration going on in a text, but I want to save this part of the means on some version so that get back to it later if I want to.
Saving and retrieving, right?
Right.
So saving again, it would be an external API thing. So let me add those things also. So someone has mentioned that saving format, save format. So let me add that and uh, save and retrieve. These you can add, but these are like additional things. What you need to currently focus on is like how are you going to design the rich text editor. There can be multiple requirements that you can come up with, but always make sure you're focusing on the core requirement. So for rich text editor, the core requirement will be like formatting, styling, if you want add media support and different kind of extensibility basically, right? If I give certain functionality out of the box in my editor, but can others extend to it or not? Undo redo is for sure something that you should take care of. So those will be the core functionalities. And yeah, so can we should we focus on the media insertion? We'll see if we have time we can do that. For now it's fine. It will be simple once we discuss the entire architecture. It will be simple to add that part. um, and in terms of copy not copy in terms of keyboard shortcuts, one more thing, keyboard shortcuts, that is also important. Keyboard shortcuts.
One issue that I have run here, Apurva, right? So what happens is
Sorry?
in rich text editor, like when you are adding multiple formatting options and all. So one issue that I faced while working in rich text editor, I want to understand will whether it be part of requirement. So your MD file will have a different format, right, compared to what
Your
is shown on rich text. I mean, that should be
breaking
part of
in
requirement, right?
your voice is breaking in loudly.
Okay. Am I clear now?
Yeah, you're clear, but sometimes you're breaking. You continue.
Yeah. Can I type it in the chat?
Yeah, yeah, that will be better. Yeah, definitely.
So what I'm trying to say is when you copy, do you copy it as a plain text or copy as an MD file? That should also be part of requirement, right?
Copy as a plain text, copy as a requirement. Okay. So here, when we talk about copy, yeah, we can take that also, right?
That is one of the I was working with rich text editor in my current organization, and that is one of the issues that we face while working with rich text editor, right?
Paste with formatting.
uh, one more one more question I have, Apur,
Hmm.
where should we provide the user the syntax switcher kind of a thing where they can switch between
Preview.
rich text format versus plain old markdown format or HTML format?
That you can also come up with a requirement like editor mode and preview mode. If anyone of you has used Obsidian, I mean, there will be other, like even if in GitHub you, when you create a PR, the PR description is in plain markdown and then there's an option of preview. So yeah, I think that's what you're asking, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one more thing, maybe can we have support for like custom fonts or the system fonts or something like that?
Yeah, so
Because in
that,
my organization, we are thinking of having this functionality where we might allow the system fonts because users will be working from different systems and each system might have different fonts and all.
Mhm.
So that kind of thing, how to access system fonts and how to make sure like the clipboard works seamlessly whenever user is has copied something on his clipboard. How we make sure like we have the necessary permissions and all in order to access that thing.
Got it. So yeah, that we can cover in this different font family support, internal,
Yeah.
external, out of the box. It's totally
Yeah. Okay.
correct. Okay. And the utmost important one is that your performance should be really good. There should no lag or jitter, which all you covered. And another is it should be a good user experience. User should be able to do whatever he wants to do without needing to learn your editor. Okay, so let me talk about that. Mm, Great user experience. Okay, so basically, in your editor, when they see, they should not be able to like, okay, what should I do in order to do this? It should be quite evident from the toolbar. Okay, that okay, I can click this, it will do this. I can click this, it will do this. It should be very intuitive, and whenever if they are familiar with certain keyboard shortcuts which are universal, like Control B, Control I, all those things, then it should be supporting that all the universal sort of shortcuts. Okay. Now, which are the libraries that you guys are aware of existing? Which, if you are aware of, which text library?
Tip
Uh,
tap.
Novel.sh, Notion.
Okay, one second. So what you are telling are applications, okay, uh, which are proper applications. Now, what I'm talking about is a library that's because Notion will be using certain library underneath. So that's what we are going to focus on.
Novel.sh.
No, no, no.
Novel.sh.
Monaco editor.
Quill.
Okay,
Tip tap.
okay, one second. Okay, your product publishing partner. No.sh you said, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Prola, TinyMC.
saying product publishing partner. I don't know.
The Monaco editor is
Monaco editor.
maybe.
Let me see.
TinyMC we can.
Yeah, tiny MCM aware. Uh, Monaco. Okay, this is GitHub's. Ah, okay, that is for okay. Monaco is for coding. Okay, VS maybe it's used under yeah. That powers more. Okay, let me add it here. Or someone said tiny MC. Yeah, that is one.
Quill. Quill editor.
Sorry,
Quill.
Quill. Yeah. Monaco. Quill is the most. I guess is the first one of the first editors that were there. Monaco. Let me
There
open.
is tip tap.
One second. How is the S code? Quill.
Slate.
Slate. Yes, Slate. What else? Someone mentioned in between.
Tip tap.
Tiptap. Yes, Tiptap is one of the crazy editors. One of the I think one of the most advanced editor that I've seen.
Frola.
Yes.
Sorry,
Frola.
I'm not. Can you type in the chat?
Guys, I think so. It's more of a product.
CK editor is there. Correct. Okay, so I think we have good examples, and one of them is Lexical, which you might be not aware, but it is created by
Facebook's.
Facebook and it is used in like Facebook. When you create a post in Facebook, that Lexical editor is the one which, uh, is- yeah, yeah. So let's just see a couple of them. Okay, we'll see them little later. So now, the most common uh, not common sorry the most important part of the designing a rich text editor is that how are we going to approach the rendering part. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to create a rich text editor from scratch, what is the way you will do, like how are you going to do it?
By how you mean like how do we structure the data and everything?
No, like let's say if you wanted to create a very basic editor, how will you implement it? How will you think about implementing it?
You can start with
We
a
have one
text
property,
field.
right? Content editable. We can use that.
Yeah, there is one of the option is content editable. What else?
Canvas.
Yes, content editable, canvas. What else? Something basic.
HTML.
Sorry.
Like I mean, there are two ways to there are only two ways usually editor works. Either they're HTML based or are they JSON based. I think so. Is that what you're looking for?
No, no, no. These ways like content editable, canvas. What else? What other ways? Very basic. I'm talking about very basic. If someone who is like very new to front end, what he'll do if they ask you to?
I think
Text area,
input.
maybe something like text area.
Yeah, that's what I said. And then there is one which in which you will just use DOM with fake cursors. Fake cursors. So whenever you talk about rendering strategy, even though it might be clear that you have to use something like content editable and canvas, you should mention what are the other alternatives. Uh, because system design is all about trade-offs and thinking about various ways of achieving same thing. So uh, I'll tell you one thing: content editable is the way to design, and that's what we're going to do. And 90% of editors, I would say 95% of editors that are there, editor libraries, they use content editable. So that is the clear winner. But still, we should discuss different approaches. Okay, very basic. Like, just like how you do DSA, right? You will talk about the brute force solution and all those stuff. So now let's talk about each of them. Why do you think we should not use text area?
Rendering would be difficult, I guess.
Why would be rendering difficult?
Formatting a particular data,
Hmm.
text and other things.
Correct. By default.
Rendering of a formatted text.
Also, the plain text area would not support the code or the extra snippets that we're trying to implement, right? With related to quoting and it all those things with tables and all those things that will be difficult to implement in a text area because it takes mostly values as string.
Hmm. Light has gone at my home. Just a second. Are you still able to see my screen?
Yeah.
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 Cool, cool. So I just lost electricity, but okay, fine. Okay, how do we do this now? Okay, fine. No worries. So yeah, I was on my monitor now on my laptop, which is a little smaller screen, but okay. So yeah, so we discussed like why text area cannot be used because it's like a just simple input. It doesn't even for like give the functionality of basic formatting. So if you want to achieve certain advanced features over there, it will be near to impossible. Like yeah, you might somehow hack it and do it, but it will be near to impossible. So that's why you can't use text area. Now, what is like DOM with fake cursor? So I have a demo here, which I will show you because it can't be just explained in words. So this is like normally your text area. Okay, so this you can create a normal like text input is fine. Like if you want to just add description like in plain text in your app in your forms, it is fine. But if you want to give someone a rich text experience, this is not possible. You can't even do like if I do control B. Okay, something else is opening. Oh, there's a Brave, so it's opening its own tab. But yeah, if I do Control I or something, it's not going to work because uh, like it doesn't support all those things, right? But yeah, two things it supports is like multi-line support is there and it has native cursor, right? The cursor will exactly be there wherever you want it. So it is sort of an give us a feel of editor, but not exactly what we want in terms of advanced features. So another option, what I told is, wait, just a second. Okay, cool. Another option that I told is DOM with fake cursor. So let's see how it actually works. Finish this one. Okay. So if you see here, it is all like you can underneath using JavaScript when people the user is typing, you can create different nodes. Like I created one span for hello, one span for world, and then one span for fake cursor. But the thing is, maintenance of the cursor will be a headache if you go ahead with this. If you create your own sort of a JavaScript functionality to create this editor, right? You will have to manage the cursor. The custom cursor positioning is really really hard. Okay, and um, also like text measurement. If something is bold, something is italic, how are you going to achieve that? Like you can do style. You can use style in your HTML tabs and HTML elements, and you can do it. But in cursor height, okay, right? If something is big, something is small, that all those things, and you have to have custom styles for your cursor. So that is going to be difficult. The next one is content editable. So let me show you how it works. I hope this is visible. Let me try to make it a little more. I hope it's zoomed enough. So if I go to this particular element, this is the one. If you see here, there's a property on my div which is saying content editable equals to true. Okay, and that's it. Like it just has content editable true. So now if I do something, let's say hello world, this is a front end system design webinar, right? So if you see, because the previous thing was bold, it's continued to be bold, but I can make it, I don't know if command B works here. Yeah, it works. So I was thinking because of the Brave browser thing, it might not, but yeah. So see, if I do Control B, it works. Okay, out of the box. I have not. This is just content editable. That's all. And also you can make it italic. Control I. Okay, if you want to make, you can make it underline. Control U. This is all out of the box. Your browser, your HTML gives you this out of the box. Only thing you need to do is make your div as content editable equals to true. That's all. So you get, and not just that. Let's say if I do Control Z, Control Z, it's undoing things. Okay, so that is also there. And also you can copy and paste over here. Let's say if I copy this custom everything and I paste, it is pasting custom everything and also with the formatting. So someone did ask me regarding the requirements, right? In one of the requirements we had mentioned uh, paste with formatting, right? So it does support that. So whatever formatted way it is there. Now here we can definitely give the option to the user whether he wanted to just paste the text or paste formatting. If you have used any sort of email editor, you will see that whenever you're pasting inside that, you will give an option paste without formatting, paste with formatting. So that option we can give, but natively it supports paste with formatting. Okay. So if you see this, it gives a lot of the things that we want in our rich text editor, right? Basic inline formatting, all of those bold, italics, underline, undo, redo is there. I don't know, like 1 second. Does oh god, this light is killing me. 1 second. Let the screen come back. If anyone knows if it supports this, let me know. I'll just googling. Does content editable support redo? Yes, it's supposed to redo. Nice. How do we do shortcut?
Control Y.
Control Y. Okay. So let's say if I do this and then I do Control Z, if I do Control Y, it's opening something else. Okay.
Command Shift.
Command Shift Z.
in Mac. Yeah.
Oh yeah, command shift. Yeah, I'm using a Mac. So
Yeah, Windows it's Control Y, I think.
got it,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, so I didn't give that information. Wait, what's happening here? Yeah, so it supports undo read out of the box. Nice. Like most of the functionalities you want, it's there. So yeah, so I think this is one of the good contender. Now we have to also see the cons of this. So one is that browser inconsistency, meaning it will uh, show the format in terms of native browser. Like in Brave, it is showing bold like this, or italic like this, underlined like this. In Safari, it will show in some other way. In Chrome, it will show in some other way. In Firefox, it might show in some other way. Okay, so that is the only con over here. Uh, so that is about content editable. The next one is canvas. Okay, let me come over here and show you. So here what we did is we just created a canvas. Okay, nothing else. And it will not have anything. It will just have a canvas. It will have height, width, in style also it's just height and width. So that's all. Now how do you like add content over here? You add it via JavaScript. So let me go to sources and if you see here, yeah, this is the canvas thing. So you control the entire rendering via canvas. Okay. So if you see here, lot of height, weight, scale, and a lot of things had to be done, font and all those things. And there'll be some words over here. Yeah, this is the yeah. So this is the text render that's you can see over here, which is bold. Okay, and because I'm giving font bold over here, and then above there is just hello world. Also, I have to mention the position of starting and ending. I guess I don't know much of the. I don't remember Canvas API much, but I believe this is starting and end position. So you have to give that right. So you can do via canvas. Here the thing is you have full control. Second is you will have consistent style across different browsers. You can control that. Thing is you also now need to control the cursor. Again, it's not going to come out of the box. The same issue that we had with DOM plus fake cursor. So yeah, again you need to control the cursor. Second is that it has accessibility issues. So if you just create a normal HTML DOM, you still will have good functionality without even caring much about or without even spending more time on accessibility. If you use content editable, it is going to be more accessible because it has all the elements that you create. Okay, if you see here, like all the elements are there: text node, the strong, the b span. So all those things are there. But you might need to make it properly accessible, but still you have certain level of nodes. In Canvas, there is just one node, which is Canvas. This is going to be a real challenge. You might have to do a PhD in accessibility to just to make it accessible because just a canvas node. You are going to have to create custom accessibilities. You will have to add it via ctx dot attribute dot somehow you will have to add it. You will have to do it mostly in this your uh, JavaScript. So it's going to be a real challenge to make it accessible. Okay, so those are the challenge with Canvas. Now, coming to the actual real world implementations, 90 to 95% use content editable. Okay, and there are certain which use Canvas. Now, I don't know any library which uses Canvas, but I know an application which uses Canvas. Can you guys guess? It is one of the most popular
Google
applications.
Docs. Google Docs.
Google Docs. Yes, Google Docs uses Canvas. Let me, I can demonstrate. I'll just open it one second. Yes. Just a second. So if you see this, okay, let me just type something and something with format. Now if I inspect, okay, I can't do it here. Inspect. I did click inspect. Yeah, yeah. So if you see this inside this, it's just a canvas. That's all. This entire thing is just a canvas, nothing else. But Google can do it because it has the budget and the amount of people, that specialized people that they can hire, that they can maintain this kind of a library, okay, for them. But otherwise 95% I would say of the libraries that are there, they do it on content editable, okay, and I'll show you that also on a couple of them. So let's try TipTap. TipTap is the most advanced uh, rich text editor that I've seen, okay. For some reason, my browser is slow. Maybe it will just quickly this. Okay. So if I see, this is your editor. Okay. Let me just close this drop down. So this is your editor. Okay. If I go and inspect this, yeah, this is my container. This is my main content. This here, you see, div content editable true. So most of the editors like this, they do it on content editable true only. If you see inside it, there will be a lot of p tags and like then different kind of like unordered lists. If you see this particular thing, right? This is unordered list. So yeah, there's one more. I'll just show you a couple of more if I can. Just a second. It's just.
Is there any specific reason that Google stays with Canvas API to implement the editors?
Yeah, they see they because they want a consistent experience across different browsers and different devices. People use it on phone,
Mhm.
people use it on tabs, people use it on various browsers and stuff. Because at their scale, they want consistency to
Mhm.
be there. So that is one of the reasons that I think that they do that. But if you want to learn more, there I can give you a link. One second. I read about it, but this is what I remember. Okay. This, I don't think they talk about why they made the decision, but anyways, this is there. Uh, but that's what I think. That's what their reason. So content, you go to article. Wait, why is it not selected? Ah, so yeah, you see content editable true. This one, content editable true. So most of these libraries use this thing. Quill, whatever we talked about, whatever discussed about over here, Slate, uh, CK editor, Lexical, all of these use content editable. So yeah, so those are the reasons, and those are the different trade-offs that are there. So Canvas, content editable, DOM Bitwig, cursor, text area. Text area is obviously a no-go. It's a brute force solution, which is like n cube sort of a thing, which you would never do. So that's our rendering strategy, and we chose content editable. I hope you guys understood why we chose content editable. Any questions here in the rendering strategy? Okay, I guess that's a no meaning. That it's clear. Now we come to thinking about the high level architecture. So the thing is, I'll have to, might have to. Okay, I created. No worries. So you, in order to work with any editor, I'll just show you one of them this year. You see there are two things. If you come here and you do control B, it works, or if you give bold over here, it works. So there are two ways to control the text, or two ways to format the text. One is via the toolbar, and one is via the DOM events, or for the user events that user will send. Okay, so what you can do is you can convert these into certain commands. Okay, like format text. Okay, or insert horizontal line, line. These are different commands, and you can mm, what you can do is you can map the DOM events to convert to this event, to these commands. So eventually it's the commands which decides how how your editor state is going to be. Okay, and another thing before we discuss about the entire architecture, one thing is how are we going to manage the state, right? So if you see here, all of those content editable things, they directly go to DOM. So one way is you always recreate the entire DOM, but do you think that's going to be performant? I don't think so. Like you are always going to repaint, reflow, and that's going to be crazy performance hit. So what can you do? So I'll give you a hint. One way is how React handles the things. Is we create a sort of a structure, a sort of a copy of a DOM, and then just like React, we create another structure. When someone edits the content, we compare, we batch all the differences, and then we update the DOM. This is exactly how React works, and most of editors work in a similar way. But I am talking about particularly Lexical, uh, because I have read about Lexical. So, and it's by Facebook, so they have similar algorithm. Uh, Again, it doesn't need React under it. It's not React. It has a different lightweight algorithm because it's just text editing. It doesn't need to deal with all the entire HTML DOM. So um, this is one strategy that you can do, is that just like how React does, you create a representation of your content, and then create another representation when there's an addition in your content or updation in your content, compare it, batch the differences, push it together in the DOM. So I'll give you a particular format. What thinking, for example, is okay. Is there an option to add code? No. No, I just edit it like this. So this is sort of a format in which you can add. Okay. So here is basically you have your root. Okay. Then you will have your children in that. In children, you can then say, okay, what type of node is this? It's a heading. Okay. And then in the children, you can say what type is the content. It's a text. And then what is there in the parallel, you can add it in a separated, comma separated way, that okay, this is a paragraph, the paragraph has different children, those are text nodes, right? Then what is the content of those text node? So this is how you will represent your actual written content in text editor. And then whenever something changes, you create same thing again, compare, and do the reconciliation. um, any questions here? We'll discuss this in little detail, but on high level, any questions here?
If you want to have some settings for, let's say, like at the page level or something like this, when
Setting
you want
at
to
page
divide,
level.
yeah,
I didn't get it. What do you mean by setting the page level?
like let's say you want to have we can set a page size on the editor, so the content will flow into different pages. We will not them like a complete, one box or one div. Maybe like how Google does it, Google Docs does it. They
Hmm.
show us different pages, right? So
Hmm.
that kind of thing. And for each page, maybe we can have some kind of styling or overall styling for the complete document. So how we will store that? Like we want to apply like the consistent formatting of let's say font size 20, and that should be applied to all. So how do we generalize that kind of thing?
Got it. So in that case, you add just you in this kind of a structure, you just keep adding properties. Like you will add
Mhm.
something like properties. Now, if there are common properties, you apply to all. Okay. Like again, this can be an array of properties. It can be font size or anything like that. Font size, color, whatever you want. And if it is specific to something, then you put it in the children itself. So, for
Okay.
example,
I,
hmm,
hmm.
good.
One more thing I want to understand, like we should store like is it a block level element or is it an inline element or something like that as well, right?
Hmm.
Because I've seen this like when we try to implement this thing. When I was trying to do the same thing, so then the flow breaks whenever we are making any change. We are hitting enter between a text and we are inserting an image between text or do that kind of thing. Then I think it that becomes really heavy to maintain all the changes like where our paragraph is ending or span is ending or something like this. The block level element is ending, and how do we start the next uh, element or something like this? So how do we maintain that properly?
Good. So all those kind of data has to be there in some kind of a structure only, which we are having over here, and then the compiler basically, like the
Mm.
actual your LLD or actual your class or whatever your
Mhm.
code is there, that will need to handle it in that. So that what you're talking about is more about sort of a LLD kind of a thing. If we get time, we can discuss that. Even I will have to think about it because I've never implemented one in
Mhm.
editor. But I would just add those kind of properties or additional things like inline block or anything over here only, and then the compiler needs to take care of it. That how I'm going to process it.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes it can be like we insert a image between text, right? So
Mhm.
the text is a node and it can contain another node. So that kind of thing.
So that then it
Like
won't
we.
be like then it won't be a text node, right? It in parallel it will be something like it will be one more node like image node, right? Right. It won't be text node then. It will be having something else like an image node. I
Okay.
image because if you add or something over here, okay, then it will have two
Mhm.
parallel elements. Let's say it was just hello, and besides that you added
Mhm.
a image, right? Then
Mhm.
you'll have another node. It will be comma and then type again type image something.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Okay. So I have also animation to show. So here, basically, how the entire process that I was explaining. So you intercept the event, like key down or whatever, convert it into command. Okay. Then you clone the state, meaning you create a new DOM. Then you modify the clone. Okay. And then you see whatever changes are there, you reconcile it, and then you actually update the DOM. So this is the entire process. Okay. I just created it using anti-gravity so that it's easier to for you to visualize the things that I'm talking about. Key event, whatever we press, command. Now this key event can come from user as an input, or it can be like selection of any of the toolbar. Okay, any of the toolbar from here. Let's say if I select this or this, eventually it will get converted into a command. Okay, and that command you will clone the entire current state, you modify that clone, then you see the differences between them, and then you update the actual DOM. That's the entire process. Now, so in sort of a high level diagram, if I have to show you, just a sec. Hmm. So this is your uh, say UI user interface. It is consisting of two main parts. One is your toolbar, and another is your actual content editable HTML element. Content editable. Making it small. What the hell? Okay. And what happens is like whenever we get any, okay, I'll just first do this also. So you will have events, you will have commands, and this will be your editor state in which you will have two current then new, like new updated one. Let's say updated at two different DOM trees, if you will, just for you to understand. And then you will have a reconciler at the end, reconciler, which will take care of the diffing part. And this will give events over here, and this will directly give commands over here, and events will eventually get converted to commands. Commands will be passed down to the editor. It will the commands will convert the current state to updated editor state, and then that reconciler will take care of. Okay, I don't know why this arrow is coming this big, but yeah, okay. Cool. Then reconciler will take care of your entire diffing part. Okay, and eventually this reconciler they will then update your actual DOM H12 this element. So I'll also here this is commands cmd. Okay. User events DOM updates. Oh, arrow is completely gone. I'll just make it. Yeah. Is the diagram making any sense? Any questions here in the overall high level architecture? We can name this as the core.
Would we do some debouncing kind of a thing? Because I mean, user will continuously try to type something, right?
Yes. So either you can do debounce or you can uh, batch the
Okay.
updates. You'll have some certain interval in which you will collect all the commands and then you update it. Or you can debounce. Either of those approaches fine. And one more thing that we didn't discuss in requirements and it can be added is plugins. Basically, if someone wants, you are going to basically create a rich text editor library. Now, someone wants to add certain other functionality to it, right? Certain other kind of formattings. Maybe they want to add a certain kind of a code block, separate kind of a code block, or table support, or something else. Okay. So how do you make sure that they are able to add to it? So in that case, you what you will do is you will have a set of listeners. Okay, so these will await for certain kind of events or certain kind of commands. Okay, and then they will accordingly do their own things. So these listeners will be via an API. Via an API, the external plugins can be hooked into this, and whenever you see certain commands, let's say if or you're doing something on command H or something like that, or not just keyboard input, you are clicking something and it converts to some certain kind of a command, and you want to take an action on that for your own external plugin, then you can add listeners, and then this becomes extensible. So it's not just the default features that you're giving. Now anyone can add any kind of features they want. They just have to listen for that particular command. Okay, this is an extra thing you can just mention a brief in brief. Okay, but this is a good extra feature if you can think about. So you're not just about thinking about the core functionality, you are also thinking making it reusable, extensible, right? So this will give you some extra brownie points in the interview. So yeah, this is the overall architecture, right? Now let's dive a little deep in terms of our data model, actually, right? So, my bad.
One question. Let's say whenever we are copying, let's say anything like the one document is there in Word, which has multiple styling and everything, and then we copy it, and then whenever we paste it, the clipboard gives us kind of HTML which contains Microsoft specific tags and styling and all other things, which is not like just pure HTML that we can use directly. So where do we write that code like that we can convert from Microsoft specific HTML to our HTML so that we can make sure like it renders
Got it.
or
So,
it's as close as like what it used to be in Word.
hmm. So what you can do is whenever you have that kind of a copy event, okay, copy event.
Mhm.
In that case, you will then create a sort of a transformer. Okay, so you can
Mhm.
have a
Mhm.
sort of a transformer, a sort of transform, sort of a string, which will again commands and uh, a lot of thanks. Uh, So that goes to a transformer, and then transformer will take care of how you want to add, or here you can add that logic that my entire copy, whatever I have, that has some external. You said Microsoft specific, but some other kind of specific also it can have, and then it will convert those formatting in terms of if it needs custom style or anything like that, right? Because your rich text editor might not support those kind of edition. So what you can do is you can create your own styles and stuff, and then again it will send it back to your updated state. So this is what you can do. Okay, I had wanted to add architecture somewhere, but I think I didn't leave space for it. Let's see if I can move all these things. They should be fine. So that was the high level architecture, and now we are going to talk about the data model part, which is D. Right? We talked about R requirements, A architecture. Now we talked about D, data model. So data model is like how are you going to manage the state? How is the state actually going to be looking like? Okay, so so this is going to be a little complicated, but yeah, we'll give enough time to this. We have to have time. Just let me. Okay, so we are going to do two things. How are you going to store content and how are you going to represent it? So, let me show you. So let's say we have a sort of an editor, uh, on our high level, we have an editor, and then it will have sort of a root element, right? The actual content editable HTML element in which we want to add. Then it will have our it's editor state. Okay. Then our pending editor state, or let's say we'll just use the same updated. Okay, so these are like the most top level things that we need to have, like root element, the current editor state, and the updated editor state. Now we can even define like what our editor state is going to be like. So editor state. So you can just assume that this is sort of a yes, this current and updated editor state have a type sort of an editor state. Now, since we are defining this, I'll also give this as like HTML. So editor state will then have, what do you think it will have? It will have one thing is nodes, right? Various nodes, and it will have one more thing that we have not yet discussed is the selection part. Selection. So if you select certain things, like your DOM will know what is selected, but now you are not relying on DOM. You're relying on your entire copy of DOM. So you need to manage the entire selection state also, right? So that selection is over, can be stored over here. We'll see how it works. I have an animation for that also. And what else? Hmm. Okay, so so this is how your overall at a very high level your data model will look like. We can make it even more specific, but we'll do that a little later. So let's assume you have something like yeah. So here it's just a demo. Basically, we see this is a content editable, so you can do control I, control U, and all those things will work. Okay, and exactly how the DOM is going changing, you can see it over here, right? So I did an italic and I did a bold. Okay, so it's wrapped into italic and bold, not bold, sorry, underline. And if I even edit bold, then if you see, it excluded S because I did not select S till then, right? So this is the native thing, this native HTML thing, that how it works. But since now we have additional thing, we'll have to control on our own. And for example, if you have just hello world like this, okay, if I just had hello world, let me try that. Hello and world, and this is in bold. So this is how it looks. Okay, now in terms of DOM nodes, what do you think? How many DOM nodes are there? Any guesses? How many DOM nodes does this create? Am I audible?
Just I mean, just a single.
No, no, not a single. It will create multiple. How many?
Is it two paragraph has?
Is it five or something?
It's four, I guess.
It's four. So the correct answer is four. So it will have one paragraph node, then one text node inside that paragraph node, then strong node, and then again one text node inside the word node.
Yeah.
Now this is third. So your paragraph node, your text node, your HTML strong node, and then again a text node. So basically, whenever you write text, even though it is wrapped inside some paragraph or some other tag, it is a separate node. Okay, so this is how your node is going to be represented. Okay, and one more thing that I wanted to show you is that how it handles cursors. If you see, by default, this is by default content editable behavior. The cursor size is automatically getting resized. Okay, and I'll show you that I'm not doing anything fancy over here. It is just content editable true. Okay, that's all, and it will take care of your cursor sizing. So yeah, that's another thing that's just for you to see. Okay, now now that you see that your DOM nodes are created like for each text node there is a separate node, and it is actually little more than what you would contain. Okay, or you would because if you have a really nested DOM tree, just the representative that we had over here, like if we are going to this part, okay, in the state it's the nodes part, so the nodes will be like this. So what happens here, if you have a lot of nodes like this, okay, it will become really nested and it will become really difficult for you to traverse and then get the tree generated and then create an updated tree and then compare and stuff. So it will become really difficult if you have a nested tree sort of a structure. So what we can do is we can create a map sort of a structure. Okay, now let me tell you how we can do that map sort of structure. This is your map. Okay, and then you will have different keys in your map. The first key should be root, then only the entire thing works. And that root will then point, it will have the value, right? Map is a key value pair. So that in that root, you will have your root node. And then you will have a sort of a children. For example, this has children, two nodes, one and two. Okay, then you will have the node one as a your key is the one is the key, and then corresponding to that you will have your for example this is your paragraph node, para node, and then you will have your children. So let's do for hello world. So it has what para and yeah. Okay. So it has children, then it will show it will has children number only one children, which is three. Okay, and then you go to two. Okay, and your two is what did I do? Control Z. Strong node. Okay, and there you also have a children. Four. And then we go to three, which is our text node, and which will directly have like hello. And fourth text node word. Okay, so either you can represent it in this way, okay, the entire thing like this, or you can represent it in the map. Okay, in the map you will have a root. Your root will be the like you always rely on the root, and in the root it will say what are the childrens. Now you will traverse based on the children. So it will say it has one and two. Okay, so you'll go and one, you will pick one and two. You will see there is one paragraph node, one strong node. Okay, what are the childrens of this? Paragraph node is 3 and strong node is 4. So again, it will see map.get 3, map.get 4, and you will see okay, it has text node and it has the again both of them are text node. One is hello, one is word. Okay, now I can construct. So that is how you're gonna construct your entire what do you say tree, sort of a tree using maps. Now, why is this more efficient? Because the lookup is O of n, okay, and even storing is O of n. Sorry, O of one, not O of n, O of one. Okay, so this is going to be more efficient in terms of storing your nested level data. Now, one question you might have is that if the childrens are more, again that will be O of n, right? Because you will have like a sort of a 10, 15, 20 childrens. Again, you have to traverse and do O of n. So in that case, instead of storing it as a array, you can store it into linked list. Now, before I go into that array and linked list stuff, are you guys able to understand the difference between storing your structure, your data in map format compared to nested JSON format? Do you guys understand the difference? Anyone?
Yeah, one question actually.
Hmm.
What is the key format actually that we are storing in the map?
What format? Sorry.
I mean, the key. I mean, this one, two, and three. Those are the keys that you
Yeah.
said you will store, right?
Correct. Those are the keys.
So, will we store something kind of a references?
Yes. 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 References.
Okay, references of that element.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I was wondering if we store some key kind of a thing, like I mean, generated key or something. That can be like duplicated, right?
Hmm.
So that would result in conflicts.
Yeah.
So
We are able to be references, so no need to worry about that. Or
uh,
anyway, in that case, you can use UUID if you want. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, we are storing references, so not an issue.
okay,
I hope others are clear of these two structure and why this is more beneficial. So you need to show two different, again, as I told you, in system design, you have to show multiple possibilities of doing same thing, and then why are you choosing one over the another? This is really critical. Okay, so I hope you understood this. And now again in this we have two choices, which is like storing this into an array or sort of a linked list. And why linked list is beneficial. So again, I have a demo for that, so you can see. Yeah. So here what we are doing it storing it in terms of an array. Okay. Yeah. Here if you see here, it's T1, B1, T2. Okay. This has three. Now, for example, someone added something in between this. Okay, so let me just animate. So I added new one in this. So now it is an O of n operation, right? Because I added something in between, the index changes. So the one index becomes two now, two index becomes three. Okay, so that is you will take O of n operation to do that. Okay, now if I do it in terms of linked list, in linked list, what you will have is like you will have your previous key and next, sorry, previous reference and next reference. So if it's in sort of an siblings, you will know what is your before you, what is after you. Now, if you want to add something new, okay, then what you do is you add it, and then you just have to change the previous dot next and next dot previous. So you just have to add. So this T1 has two pointers, this B1 has two pointers. You just have to update one pointers of each. Okay, so that is an O of n sort of O of one update. So that is more efficient. So that's what I was trying to explain here, that instead of storing here this as an array, we can store it in terms of linked list, so that that also becomes more efficient. I hope that is clear. Any questions in that?
Yeah, still the traversal will be often in the worst case, right? Insertion is fine,
Hmm, hmm,
but
hmm.
in the worst case, the traversal
Yeah,
will still
traversal
be
will be often, yeah. But yeah, insertion
okay.
and all those at the update part, because usually in your editor you are going to update frequently, right?
Understood. Okay,
So
okay.
that's
Yeah.
where we're taking care of.
Yeah, I think that will be very efficient. Understood. Sure, because it won't shift the elements. Okay.
Yeah. Now, one more thing, whenever you're discussing these kind of things, make sure the interviewer also wants to understand these kind of things. If he's not interested, don't waste your time. Okay, then you can focus on other things. But just make sure whenever you're talking about something that how are you going to store, I have efficient way of doing this. Would you like me to explain this or something like that? Then go ahead and explain. Because these all of the things, any time you spend in your system design interview, if it is not relevant to the interviewer, you are wasting your time. Trust me, you're wasting your time. You are, even though you will show off your knowledge, he doesn't want that knowledge. He doesn't think that is relevant to the discussion. So whenever you're diving deep, you can overall explain that, okay, instead of JSON format, I'll store it in map format. Overall, you spoke it. But then if he asks that, okay, how will you do it, or if you want to explain it, do you want me to deep dive, just ask them before going forward. Just another tip. Then
JSON objects also kind of works as a map only for us, right? Where we can have the key and the values, and like we previously also storing like the children's and everything. So can't we combine both the strategies and we can use whichever we would like to prefer? Like here we are storing in an object, and then we are having like children's type and everything. And same way we can create a map inside this only, like where we can say like children one, children two, and we can use the references interchangeably. So it will be just adding like a property in the same object, but the addresses will be matched, so we can traverse it both ways. So
got it. Yeah, this is also a good option. This is also something which you can discuss in the like discussion. That this is one more advantage that I see if I mix both the ways, and yeah, you can have your own trade-offs and you can present that also. That also works. That's the whole point of the entire discussion. Good point. If any one of you has any ideas in between, just let me know. That's why we are having this webinar live discussion, because we want to have these kind of ideas. Okay. Now what we can discuss next is the, let's talk about the selection part. Okay, because that's a little tricky. So I do even have an animation. Before I move, any questions? No. Okay. Cool. So
One question, Apurva.
hmm, hmm,
Like,
hmm.
how do you point in? You said you will pass a reference in map, right? So how do we do that practically?
Okay, in terms of implementation.
Yes.
So you when you get, okay, so when you create any object or you create any, this root node, this para node, all of them will be an object, right? So it will by default return you some reference. So you store that reference.
Okay.
Right? Now, yeah. So in terms of selection, how do you manage selection? So there are two terminologies that you need to understand. One is your anchor node. Anchor node is something which is the starting point of your selection. Okay, and then there is a focus node. Focus node is your end point of your selection. So let me show. I don't know if this example works or not. I mean, the animation works properly or not, but let's say I selected this. So my anchor node is brown fox. Okay, anchor offset is 0. That is, so I'll tell you how this works. This this brown fox is a separate node. Okay, brown fox uh, is a strong node. Okay, the strong or em node, okay, because it's bold. And here if I start selecting from the first point, that means my anchor node is brown, which is a separate node, and in that offset is 0, meaning I'm starting from the first point. Now let's say if I select just from w, so my anchor node is still brown fox, okay, the capitalized one. So the, not the, yeah, the bold one, and my offset is 3. I hope you guys understood that point. Now in focus node, my focus node is still brown fox. It has not changed. My offset is 9. So starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is my. Now let me show you a different example. Let's say I start from brown and I go to this. Okay. So now you see my anchor node is still brown fox, but my focus node changed to jump over the. Okay, jump over the is a separate node, and then lazy comes. So lazy becomes italics. It's a separate node. So we are dealing with in the first sentence itself we are having 5 different nodes. Okay, so how do you do selection is like you, let's say if I select from brown and then I go to till here. Okay, so your anchor node is the strong brown fox node. The offset is third. Okay, the third element from there. Focus node is actually the end point. My end node is jumps over the node, and then what is my offset? So it jumps over the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 like that 14th. That is the thing. Okay, now one more thing we need to track: is it forward or is it backward? That is also important. Okay, so and I can do multiple selection over here. Let's say I did the entire selection here, then and then let me make some of them like underline or something so that it's a different note. So and I select from brown fox to here. Okay, so if you see here, 2CHO is underlined, it's a separate node. So that is my focus node. Focus node is the endpoint. And then what is my offset? So starting from this, it will be the 7th point. Is it clear? Is this, are you able to understand this?
The offset thing is not clear to me. How is it?
Got it. So let me take jump. Wait, why is not going? Let me take jump. Now, if you see my focus offset, both the nodes are same. Okay, both my anchor node and the offset node are same. Jumps over the. But if you see anchor, where is it? It starts from 1. It's taking this space as 0. That's why it's starting from 1. But if I take the space, it's starting from 0. So let's say if I do jumps, so J is at 1 position, and now from the space, if you count till where did I select? So space is 0, J is 1, U is 2, M is 3, P is 4, S is 5, sorry, P is 5, S is 6. So I have selected till 6. So that is your offset. Is it clear now?
Okay. It should be 5, right?
Yeah.
If jump is 1, S should be 5, right?
One, two, three, four, 5. I think you're correct. Yeah, it should be 5. Maybe it's selecting.
Space is one, no?
Sorry?
Space is the first element, right?
The face
So
is
for
first, but it is 0. Space it considered as 0. So maybe
okay,
offset is something that is a point after the, just after it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure. But I hope you understood what is anchor node, what is focus node. Uh, that's the difference. Anchor is your starting point, focus is your end point, and then you have offset to understand exactly where you're selected. And then your is backward or is forward. Okay, whether it's a backward selection or is it a forward selection. So,
Uh,
hmm,
One question on that.
hmm,
Uh, I mean, why is backward matters? That I missed out. Like,
okay.
I mean, why is backward matters here?
Got it, got it. Okay, let me think of an example. I had thought of something that's why I had kept it, but uh, there's some kind of an edge case. Okay, if I remember, I'll let you know, but as of now, I don't remember.
Sure, no, yeah, no worries.
Okay. There was a specific thing because of which I had kept.
Like if you have to remove, if you delete, or if you insert something, then it might be crucial for us to decide like what is our start point and what is our end point. So what is the range that we have to remove? So if you select something and then we shift backspace or we want to delete, then maybe we have to know the
It's
start
the
and end
same.
of our
It's
select.
the same, right? It's the same, right? It doesn't matter if we select from first to last or last to first. We are we are going from. It's just that the direction changes, but we
Yeah,
are our positions are remaining at the same edge, right? I mean, the start and the end positions are remaining the same.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Wait. Now I know why I did it. It is for keyboard one. Okay, so let's say if I do with keyboard from now, if I do shift and right, I should know I'm going forward or backward because my anchor node and my focus node will change. If I am selecting from brown to lazy, okay, my anchor node is brown, my lazy node is focus. Okay, and now if I do from lazy and if I go back in my keyboard, then my anchor node is lazy dog and my uh, uh, focus node is brown fox. So it is mostly for your keyboard navigation that which direction are you going in.
Got it. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So now in terms of like how will you store it is I just copy it. This place. So where was it? I'll have to move this entire thing. Will it move? I hope it does. No. There's a problem with this. It doesn't always select whatever you want. See, stop it. Select this. Let me try one last time. Finally. Okay. So here you will now have your editor selection. So that will be your this thing, editor selection. And this will be your sort of a node, like that entire thing that we discussed below will be your node. So it will be have your node, root key node, and then accordingly it will have your entire map. Now talking about now what we can talk about the undo and redo part. Okay, so it's simple. It's not too much. But let's do one thing. Let's talk about the interface first. Then we because that's undo redo is just a stack. We can maintain a stack. Interface. So that's the part of your radio. Okay. So interface basically. So This is very contextual of what you're designing. If you are designing an application, your interface will be like how is your front end going to connect with your backend, the server, the HTTP APIs. If you are designing a component, let's say input, so not input, a autocomplete component or a modal component or something like that, then it will be your component API, like how are you going to structure your component, what props are going to pass to it, that it will be in that context. Here we are designing a rich text editor. Now this rich text editor can be consumed in multiple ways. Okay, it can be consumed as part of a React component. So Lexical does that. It exports it as a React component, or it can be just a JavaScript library. Okay, so what we will discuss is what different kinds of properties are required. Okay, to pass to it. Now it can be your component props, or it can be just your parameters to your JavaScript function. That doesn't matter. What we discuss is the properties that are going to be needed to pass in order to initialize and in order to maintain your editor API. Okay, so you discussed about editor API. So you are designing a rich text editor for others to integrate. Okay, so in that case, your API is like one will be your root element. So whoever is consuming your editor needs to tell where exactly do you need to insert, right, the editor at which point in your HTML DOM. So root element, they need to tell. Then they need to tell if there are multiple instances. Okay, if you are having multiple instances, then the namespace of the same editor. If you want to have multiple instances, it can be optional. Then your initial editor state. This basically, if some user, or if you want to have it configured. Let's say I came to this Tiptap tab, it had something predefined over here, right? So that is my initial editor state. I want to have my editor pre-populated. So in that case, I will have to pass your in editor state, initial editor state. Then it will have your theme object. So if you want to customize how your italics looks, how your bold looks, there are different kind of fonts, what is the spacing, what is line height, all those kind of things. If you want to do, you can accept a theme object. Okay, in which it will have different kind of class names, which will be there in your API documentation, that you have to give this class name for this particular thing and this class name for this particular thing. So like that, they can pass a theme object. And I can show you an example so that you might understand better.
We can pass templates as well, right? Because
Templates for
like structure of kind of document, like where we have some placeholders already and something like that, templates that we have. So if you have some report or something like that, right? Some on top we will be having a header or some kind of image, and then will be there is a structure for table and also.
got it, got it. You want your rich text editor to look in a certain kind of a way. So that's what you're talking about. Like
Uh,
for
More for like a page as well. So in the Google Docs we have pages, right? As we talk. So there for a page, let's say we want to have a template. So template is just like which will have some pre-information for the user, or just like a placeholder kind of thing, which will guide user to. Let's say we have a date thing aligned, or we have a like the name thing. So kind of a form thing that we do mainly, right? So
no,
that we can give a structure to the user which they can edit or something like that. This is a very specific use case of the editor. We have somebody where
got
we want to give it user access to our editor, but they want to use it in a certain way, like they want to have a particular structure so that the user can go and edit and do only specific operations or something like that.
that can be like sort of a plugin or external thing that we can add. So
Mhm.
yeah, you can edit that. But here we are going to be making it more generic, right?
Mhm.
So that you can discuss that also if you want, but we can keep it most generic. Like the root elements definitely
Okay.
needed, namespace is needed, initial editor state is needed, theme is needed. those kind of things.
Mhm.
I'll show you one the lexicals.
Yeah, so it's more like whenever we create a Word document, right? We can select a blank document or we have some templates that
Mhm.
are already defined. So that kind of thing I was talking about.
Got it, got it. So here, what I am discussing is like having an editor in an application. Like you have an entire application in that you want to enter editor. What you are talking about is full blown application like a docs. So that will have a different kind of use case, and there will be a different requirement, and then you will have different kind of configuration for it. Underneath, it doesn't use your entire rich text editor, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm talking about designing a library sort of thing. So this is the lexical library, and this is your props that it takes for initialization, like editor state, I should not double click. Editor state, namespace, on error, parent editor, editable, theme, this different kind of things. So that's how you can initialize your editor. Uh, there was one more thing I talked about theme, right? Find it. I'm not able to find it. Anyways, okay. Now, now these are like the initialization APIs. Now you will have certain other APIs like update APIs. So let's understand what exactly are we trying to achieve from this. So your rich text editor is a sort of a library that other application are going to use. Now, when they use this application with your entire rich text editor, they might want to save the data. They might want to do certain things based on the user input, right? So we want to give them a sort of way that they can hook into our editor. So, for example, we'll give them sort of an editor dot update sort of an function where they can pass their own callback, and whenever there's an editor update, this callback function, whatever they pass, gets executed, and then they can accordingly handle however they want to handle. Similarly, like they want to do set editor state. They want to set the editor state from outside. Okay. So your editor is your global object that you created. Okay. You initialize your editor and you created your global object. And now you're doing editor.update, editor.set editor state. So basically you are giving a way to access your rich text editor from uh, programmatically from external application, from your parent application, which is going to add you, so that the consumer of my rich text editor has entire control on what they want to do. Okay. And similarly, like you will have certain sort of, let's say, get APIs. So let's say the user saves, or like there's a save functionality in your application and the user saves, so you can have like editor dot get editor state. Now you will get the editor state and then you can store it. Okay. Now you want to store it in different formats that someone did ask, right? In terms of requirement, different save format or stuff, right? So there you can have that different format. You can save it as PDF. You want to save it doc. You want to save it as whatever. That is up to the application how they want to store it. Okay. That entire logic of converting your editor state into their desired format, that can be on the consuming application, that how they want to store it. Okay. um, and also someone mentioned about versioning, right? So get editor version, current version, editor current version. This is a functionality that you might have in your application, that you want to save a draft, or you want to save a current version, and then you want to work on it, and then you want to save another version, and then you want to come back to version 1, right? So this is a functionality that your consuming application will provide, and this is the APIs via which they can get the current version or not. Okay. So that is another requirement that someone had mentioned. And one more important one is like regarding your events related. As I told, right, you will have some external listeners or transformers. Someone talked about copy formatting. So in that, for your transformers and for your listeners, you will have to have your the dispatch command sort of an API. So editor dot, you can say, you can register command, which will have your sort of commands list, that these are the commands that I want to register, and then whenever those commands are fired, you get that event in your application, and then accordingly you can update using editor update, that okay, for example, control plus H, I wanted to do something, so I got that event, and then now I will update the editor accordingly. So these are like extensional plugins that you want to do. Okay. So these are certain kind of APIs that you can discuss. You can even have more APIs like query APIs or all those things. That is totally up to you. But I would say get, update, edit, and events. These are sufficient to discuss. Any questions in this, in the interface discussion that we had?
I had a question on data actually, uh, but yeah, maybe we can discuss post optimizations.
What is the question? You can ask.
It's regarding because now we handle the painting and I mean the comparison, right? Previous and current state of the editor and other things. Now, shouldn't we also maintain the history of the entire flow of the events, because we need to also implement undo and redo, right? Because
Mm,
now we won't hand over that responsibility to this browser content editor.
mm.
That was
Yeah.
my question actually.
So for entire, so actually we skipped that part. So for undo redo, what you can do is that you will have your stack, okay, and you can do this two ways. I can You have one single stack where you maintain the entire thing, right? Let's say if I done certain interaction, again, then you can store it in based on debounce or batch, that if user is writing certain things, when he leaves it for certain milliseconds, then you store that particular content in your stack. Okay, then again he starts and you store it in your stack. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say I type hello world, so you store it that in your stack. Then I started writing, hi, this is Apur. This is your another element in your stack. And then I do Control Z. So you see that, and this hi, this is Apur. That entire thing went. That was one set of a stack, like one item in your stack. If I do again, basically you will either do it in batch, certain interval, or you will do it in debounce way, and you will store it in a stack, and then that stack, once you undo it, pops it off. Okay, and if you redo, it comes back. Now this redo, because of this redo thing, you can have two stacks also. You can maintain one for undo, one for redo. So as soon as you undo, it goes to redo stack. So if someone then does redo, then it takes from the redo stack. So that's how you can maintain your undo redo thing. But in terms of events, what events would you like to store? Because events eventually gets converted to commands, and then commands eventually creates your entire, updates your state, and it stores that in your stack. So in your stack you will have an entire node, that this is a bold thing, this is an italic thing, or something like that. So you don't want to store events, you want to store the end result of the events. But if
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
hmm,
Sorry, I mean, yeah, I was more of focusing on that only. By mistake, I said
sorry,
events, but
sorry.
of course, whatever is needed to restore to that previous thing, that we need to store, sure,
Good.
uh, to the previous version. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah, actually I had skipped that, but yeah, thanks for
Okay, sure, sure. Okay.
because that is simple. Like you can still discuss about it, but yeah, it is yeah. So now in terms of optimization, one thing that we discussed was the internationalization part. So internationalization, this is a complicated word. You can call it localization also. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So
Uh, uh, uh,
Yeah.
When we are talking about undo redo, can we think of like a design pattern that we have like event sourcing and all, where we store all the order of events and everything, and then we can regenerate the state with applying the
Oh, okay,
events
okay,
over
okay.
and
You are
so
saying, okay, you will store the commands in a separate way, and then you'll store the text in a separate way, and then you regenerate it. That's what you're saying. When
yeah,
you
if we apply the commands, then I think we can reach to the same state. We can come forward, we can go back,
that is also a
and
catch.
even
Mm. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So that's what I was saying. Like let's say you were saying for redo, we have to store a new stack or two stacks. But if we store it in that way, so we will have a state A, and then we do undo, then we will get to a new state B. And then if you want to redo, then we can play with that. We can go to the previous state, then it will be redo. So
Mm. Got it.
I'm not sure, but yeah, kind of
This
that.
is also a good idea. Actually, something similar we are going to cover in the collaborative editor, where we
Hmm.
differentiate the action and the content separately. But yeah, you can apply
Hmm.
it here also for stack for like this undo redo. That you differentiate the uh, format of the text and the content
Hmm.
separately. That and when
Hmm.
you actually do undo redo, at that time you compile it and you do it. That is also one way to do it. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, because every action will have, let's say we did a control C, control B, or we typed something, so that will also be converted to a command, right? We inserted something or something like that.
Yes.
So, but then I think it will be too large if you do it for every character
Yeah,
or something like that.
there is pros and cons, like because you will then
Yeah.
have more number of stacks or more large number of data to be stored. Um,
Mhm.
and also the computation cost. So if you already convert and put it in a node structure, it is easier for you to get it back. But if you store it all the things separately, like commands and content separately, then whenever the person does redo or undo, you have to construct that thing. So it has all its pros
Yeah,
and cons. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, that is for sure. And one more thing I am not able to understand is like the content editable is having a downside, which is like it is not consistent across the devices. So how do we overcome this thing? Because as you said, 90% of the editors use content editable
They,
based
they
thing.
add custom stylings over there. So they will add the custom styling in the whenever they create any node, they will have a generic
Hmm.
styling in all those things. So it looks properly in all. So out of the box, content editable doesn't have that thing. But
Hmm.
if you're
Hmm.
creating a rich text editor, you will format your all your italic, bold, and all those things in a way that it looks same in on different browsers.
Yeah, understood.
Thanks, all good points. Um, Yeah, so in terms of internationalization, we have to make sure that we are allowing users to type from right to left also. Usually we type from left to right, but there are certain languages, as you're aware, we should be allowing them to type from like left, right to left. Now, one more important thing that I'd mention, I am input method editor. This is specifically for languages where when you leave a key, let's say for example, I just pressed on D and I left it. I pressed on F, I left it. G left it. This is a one letter. Okay. But there are languages. If you talk about India itself, there are lots of languages. If you talk about South, there are like Telugu, Tamil, Malayali, Kannada, right? These are having different kind of a, I would say litigatures is the right word. I don't know, but maybe that's the right word, which you cannot just map to one letter, one key down, one key press. Okay. In this, you will have certain different kind of method of input. So, does your editor support that or not? And not just Indian languages, I'm talking about certain languages like Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. Those are also languages where one keystroke doesn't mean one letter. There, one letter is something else. It is combination of keystrokes. So, in that case, does your editor support IME input method? I think it's called input method. Let me just find it proper word. Yeah, input method editor. Basically, if does your uh, rich text editor support input method editor or not. So that is one more thing you can talk about, that we should support this. Okay. And then one more important thing in terms of accessibility. So whenever you talk about optimization, you talk about, you talk about accessibility, you talk about internationalization, you talk about all those advanced kind of feature, but don't be generic. Don't say we have to take care of internationalization. That's all. That international means that I have to take care of right to left and all these things. How is it particularly applicable to your application is what is important. Okay, this input method editor is very much applicable to our application. It might not be applicable to all other applications. So keep your discussion focused on the system design prompt that is given. Don't just give generic knowledge. Generic knowledge is also important, but that will then differentiate whether you want this person as a SD3 or SD4. That is really critical. Now in terms of accessibility, there are multiple things. One is keyboard accessibility. People should be able to select, unselect, undo, redo all your toolbar functionality that are there. Okay, all of these which are there. Let's say I give Notion like editor. I think it has more. Let's say simple editor. So if you see, there are multiple kind of functionality here. All of these should be accessible via either some kind of keyboard shortcut, or I should be able to navigate there and should be able to do that. Okay. Ideally, there should be a keyboard shortcut for each of them. So that is what you need to take care. That is one thing. Keyboard shortcuts. Another thing you need to take care of is screen reader. So basically, person who are not able to view for some reason, they can be able to understand that you're in a rich text editor, and then you can type in it. It is a live thing where you type and it gets update. Okay, so you can use ARIA Live sort of a um, role, and you can edit in your HTML. And what are the live regions? Basic. What are the then there's a toolbar. Then you have to give that role toolbar, something like that. Use proper ARIA attributes basically, and label and instructions. Right. So that is one thing. Um, and you have to also maintain the focus. So because whenever someone who is not able to see, or who is trying to access it via screen reader, if they are not able to focus on different kind of elements in your rich text editor, specifically talking about toolbars, then they will not be able to use it. So whenever they go into certain selection, they should be able to it should be able to announce that this is like format left, format right. So you have to make sure everything is focusable. And also in your editor, when you're doing something underlined or something italic, they should be able to focus and understand, okay, this is something italic, this is something bold. So you have to maintain your focus, keyboard focus, not just keyboard focus, just in general I would say focus. And then one more thing, speech to text support. So specifically because this is an editor, user is going to write a lot, but let's say they are not able to write using keyboard, or they don't want to, they want to just do speech, okay, for some reason. Then does your editor support that or not? So there is one software which is known as Dragon naturally speaking. So Lexical does have that support. I assume all of them others will also have. So I'll just share that with you. Again, this is very much specific to our application, speech to text support. So here it is a package that Lexical provides. It is in sort of a plugin that you can use to have speech to text support using the Dragon speeching software. I can also link. I don't have the link of Dragon one, but yeah, this supports the Dragon speaking. So yeah, that is in terms of accessibility. Those are all the things. Anything else you guys think in terms of optimization, or anywhere else you if you want to add something, if you want to discuss something?
Will there be any scope of handling errors? Like if
Meaning,
user makes some, something which we don't intend to. Like
hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, you can talk about that. Like if they do certain kind of operations which we are not allowing, that we need to handle it internally. Like we can give them a toast that uh, this is not allowed or something like that. Or but in your rich text editor should not crash. You should definitely have sort of an error boundary, and that can be your even in your interface, a sort of an uh, error state. There is some state or error boundary.
Maybe he's talking about autocorrect. Is this the thing that you're talking about, Rohit?
no, no, mostly this only. With respect to something happens, if user does something which we don't intend to,
Mm,
then how will we handle, or
Mm, mm.
something kind of a validate. I can't say validation here, but because we can't apply validations in this editor kind of a thing. But yeah,
mhm, mhm.
something around that. But yeah, maybe autocomplete. Not sure how that is. That will handle.
Yeah, autocorrect or autocomplete, something like this might be.
Yeah, autocorrect is also a good feature that you can add in your requirements. Someone joining now. Okay. Mm, so yeah, autocorrect also a good requirement that you gotta add. Added. Um, I'll just add it here for your reference. Autocorrect, spell check, some sort of things. Nowadays, all browsers have it by default, but yeah, if you want to give it your own, you can give it. But
Yeah,
instead,
but Apurva, I think when you showed, I don't remember the name of that specifically, Lexical or some. They made the autocorrect and autocomplete as off actually. Which means they are handling that. I think.
somewhere you saw show here.
Yeah, yeah, both off actually. They have added that attribute.
Okay.
Not here, but yeah, some. On the DOM actually. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Anything else?
I think I majorly faced issue while working with the fonts that are available over there. Where, how do we incorporate it and how do we make sure, like, whenever we are using or allowing new fonts. So how do we add more support to fonts in our editor? That's will be my
External
question.
fonts that are rich text editor doesn't support, right?
Yeah, like we want to add a custom, either some like other fonts that we want to incorporate. So how do we allow them, like they can use their own fonts or something like that kind of thing?
Got it, got it. Then you can have a sort of another API in your interface where you can have like add fonts,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, in which by which you can pass the whatever font files are there, and your editor should support that of custom fonts. Then
Mm-hmm.
it will have it then it will list it in their drop down. So via an API, like add font sort of an API, you can add
Yeah,
the font files and then it will be listed in the rich text editor.
yeah, yeah. Understood.
I had a question regarding the selection part of it.
Yeah,
So
good.
what happens if I partially select two different types of node, and let's say I select one part of a normal text node and one part of a link, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and I apply the bold action. What happens to the editor state and how does it get represented in that case?
Got it. Let's see how it this content editable naturally does that. Okay, so it takes away it from the both. So if one of the thing has a style, okay, let's say again I'll try in here also lazy. Control I. Oh, here it gave it to both. Interesting. One second. I do control B, it takes away. Okay, here L, A, and Z. Control I, it gives. This is also itself is unpredictable. For bold, it is if I just have cross node, it is taking away the bold. But for italics, it is giving the italics, which is weird. Let me try with this control.
Okay, now select quick and brown word and try Control B.
Yeah, let me try that. Control B. It is giving it.
Okay, now it is doing. So if the starting, I think it is taking for the starting one, right? Because when you selected fox, which was bold, and jumps, which was not bold, so it is removing. And if you select vice versa, like the first word is not having bold, and the brown one, the ending node is having bold, so it is uh,
Yeah, it can be based on anchor and offset. Basically, anchor and focus. Which is your anchor, which is your focus. So if I do this, control I. mm, no, it is not there because no, it's not that case. Italics is always applying, but brown sometimes applied, sometimes like bold sometimes applied. So, anyways, so that you can define how you want to define, like you want to say I based on anchor node of or a focus node, or you want to just have like okay if it is a cross thing, and if the user is applying something, I just want to apply to the entire thing. I would say applying it to the entire thing makes more sense. That's why I might mistakenly select something, but if I'm doing, let's say I want to highlight this, but mistakenly I selected SE also. Ideally, I would want it to apply to the entire thing. And that's what I think. So under this assumption, you can make sure that whatever is selected or not selected, whether it has that style or not, uh, we will give the style to the entire thing. That's what how I would approach.
Got it.
But good edge case to talk about. These kind of edge cases they can ask, yeah, like even I do ask like some edge cases. How would you approach? There is no right or wrong answer. How do you approach, and why do you approach in that way? Because I think it's a good user experience with an example. So you have to explain it why. You can just choose one. You have to explain why. Anything else anyone wants to discuss?
Also, let's say I have to build a rich text editor for my custom use case. So where do I start with this? Do I use the already built engine like Lexical, or do I have to write all the editor state and all the API that you mentioned? That do I have to write that from scratch, or can I use something which is already built like Lexical or any other alternative?
Good question. I would suggest use Quill. Quill, most of the libraries actually underneath use Quill. Okay. So if you had to start something, I would say Quill is the most basic editor that is there. Uh, Let me put it in the. You should not start from scratch, but you can use this. Yeah, Quill. Any other questions? Okay, so yep, I'll share this link. Okay, I'll share it now itself, I guess. And also I'll share the meeting recording, but I have to upload it. I'll share, so I'll mail it to you guys. I'll automate, or yeah, I'll share it in the LinkedIn. Anyways, you might be following me on LinkedIn. That's why you're here. Uh, so and yeah, I would appreciate if you guys can give some testimonial on the top mate regarding do mention front-end system design. If you want, you can mention rich text editor. If you enjoyed particular discussion point, you can mention that. So just add some kind of testimonial over there. That really helps me and motivates me to do more of these sessions. I've done, I think this is my fourth or fifth session of front-end system design individually. So I'll do more. Next one is collaborative editor. It will be not on next Saturday because that is Valentine's Day. I'll do it on 21st or 28th, either of those days. It will be there. And for that, I hope you guys have attended both my this session, which text editor, and the previous one, which is chat web application, because the entire offline sync part and this rich text editor part will play an important role in that collaborative editor part. So yeah.
Is there any place where I can find previous session recordings or links?
Yeah, you can definitely. Let me share. Okay, I'll just stop this current recording.